You are not merely flesh and blood, bound by the limitations of the physical world. You are, in essence, pure consciousness, an extension of the infinite mind of God. And it is this realization, this awakening to your true nature, that holds the key to unlocking a life beyond your wildest dreams. But how, you may ask, does one come to this profound understanding? How does one tap into this wellspring of infinite possibility? The answer, I assure you, is simpler than you might imagine, yet it requires a fundamental shift in your perception of reality. The world you see around you, with all its seeming solidity and permanence, is nothing more than a projection of your own consciousness. It is a reflection of your inner state, your beliefs, and your assumptions about what is possible. And herein lies the great secret. To change your outer world, you must first change your inner world. This, my friends, is the essence of what I call the law of assumption. It is the divine principle that governs all of creation, and it is the key to manifesting your desires and living a life of true purpose and fulfillment. To understand this law, you must first grasp a fundamental truth. Imagination is the very substance of reality. The world you experience is not something separate from you, but a manifestation of your own imaginal acts. Every thought, every feeling, every assumption you hold about yourself and the world around you is constantly being externalized in your physical reality. Now I can sense the skepticism rising in some of you. You may be thinking, but Neville, I have tried positive thinking before. I have visualized my desires, yet they remain unfulfilled. To this I say, mere positive thinking or casual visualization is not enough. What I am speaking of is a much deeper, more profound practice, the art of living from the end. Living from the end means assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. It means entering into the state of consciousness where your desire is already a present fact rather than a future possibility. This is not mere daydreaming or fantasy. It is a deliberate, controlled use of your imagination to impress upon your subconscious mind the reality you wish to experience. Let me illustrate this with an example. Suppose you desire financial abundance. The conventional approach would be to work harder, to struggle and strive in the hopes of one day achieving your goal. But this approach is fundamentally flawed, for it keeps you in a state of lack and wanting. It reinforces the very condition you seek to overcome. Instead, I urge you to assume the feeling of wealth and abundance now. Close your eyes and imagine with all the vividness you can muster what it would feel like to have all the money you desire. Feel the sense of security, the freedom, the joy that comes with financial abundance. Make this imaginal act so real that when you open your eyes, the world around you seems pale in comparison. But here's the crucial point. You must persist in this assumption. You must live and move and have your being in this new state of consciousness. For remember, your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your in-check state. As you maintain this new self-concept, as you live consistently in the consciousness of wealth and abundance, the outer circumstances of your life will invariably reshape themselves to match your inner conviction. This, my dear friends, is the creative power you possess. It is the power to shape your reality through the controlled use of your imagination. And it is this power that you squander when you waste your life living in accordance with the limited beliefs and assumptions imposed upon you by society. But the law of assumption extends far beyond mere material gain. It applies to every aspect of your life, your relationships, your health, your spiritual growth. Whatever you desire to be, do, or have, you must first assume the feeling of already being, doing, or having it. This is the secret to living a life of true purpose and fulfillment. Now, some of you may be wondering, but what about effort? What about action? And to this I say, inspired action will naturally flow from your assumed state of consciousness. When you truly live in the end, when you fully embody the state of your wish fulfilled, you will find yourself naturally guided to take the steps necessary to bring your desire into physical manifestation. However, this action will not feel like struggle or strain. It will not be the frantic, anxious activity of someone desperately trying to achieve a goal. Instead, it will be the calm, confident action of one who knows that their desire is already a fact, waiting to be expressed in the physical world. This, my friends, is the difference between wasting your life and living with purpose. It is the difference between being at the mercy of external circumstances and being the conscious creator of your reality. It is the difference between existing and truly living. But I must warn you, this path is not for the faint of heart. It requires courage, persistence, and above all, faith. Faith not in some external deity or power, but faith in the God within you, the I am that is your true self. For you see, the great I am is not something separate from you. It is your very essence, your true identity. When you say I am, you are invoking the name of God, for I am is the true name of the Creator. And whatever you attach to this mighty I am, you are decreeing it into existence. This is why it is so crucial to be mindful of your inner conversations, of the thoughts and assumptions you hold about yourself and the world. For every time you say, I am poor, I am sick, I am unlucky, you are using green creative power to perpetuate these conditions in your life. Instead, I urge you to make a new covenant with yourself. Begin to use the power of I am consciously and deliberately. Declare, I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am loved, not as affirmations or positive statements, but as acknowledgments of your true state of being. For remember, your conception of yourself is what you really are, and your conception of yourself is all that you have to give to the world. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, this seems too easy. Surely there must be more to it than this. And to this I say, the greatest truths are often the simplest. The power to change your life, to achieve your every desire, to live a life of true purpose and fulfillment, it is your divine birthright as a child of God, as an individualized expression of the infinite creative consciousness. The reason why this truth seems too good to be true is that you have been conditioned to believe in limitation, in struggle, in the necessity of hard work and sacrifice. But I assure you, these beliefs are nothing more than illusions, shadows cast by the limited thinking of man. In reality, there are no limitations to what you can be, do, or have, except those you accept in your own thinking. The entire universe is within you, waiting to be expressed. All the wealth, all the love, all the wisdom, all the success you could ever desire is already yours in potential. Your task is simply to align your consciousness with this truth, to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and to live from that state until it becomes your physical reality. But let me be clear, this is not a call to irresponsibility or inaction. On the contrary, it is an invitation to take full responsibility for your life, to become the conscious creator of your reality rather than a passive victim of circumstance. It is a call to action of the highest order, the action of consciously directing your imagination and assuming the feeling of your desires fulfilled. Now, some of you may be wondering about the role of others in this process. You may be thinking, but what about my family, my friends, my colleagues? Don't they have a say in my reality? And to this I say, everyone in your world is you pushed out. They are reflections of your own consciousness, playing the parts that you have assigned to them through your beliefs and assumptions. This doesn't mean that others don't exist, or that their free will is negated. Rather, it means that your experience of others, how they treat you, how they respond to you, is a direct reflection of your own self-concept and your assumptions about them. Change your concept of yourself and others, and you will see a corresponding change in your relationships and interactions. This understanding liberates you from the need to change others or to wait for external circumstances to improve. It places the power squarely in your hands, for you realize that to change your world, you need only change yourself. But I must caution you, this power comes with great responsibility. For as you awaken to your true nature as the operant power in your world, you can no longer blame others or external circumstances for your life conditions. You must be willing to take full responsibility for your thoughts, your assumptions, and consequently, your life experiences. This, my dear friends, is what it means to truly live. To not waste the precious gift of life that has been bestowed upon you. It means to awaken from the slumber of limitation and victimhood, and to claim your rightful place as a conscious creator, as an individualized expression of the divine. But how, you may ask, does one begin this journey of awakening? How does one start to apply these principles in daily life? The answer lies in a practice I call revision. Revision is the art of consciously reimagining past events in a way that aligns with your desires. It is based on the understanding that time is merely constructive consciousness, and that the past, present, and future exist simultaneously in the eternal now. When you engage in revision, you are not denying or suppressing what seems to have happened. Rather, you are exercising your divine right as a creator to choose which version of events you wish to make real in your consciousness. For remember, it is not the outer event itself that shapes your life, but your reaction to it, your interpretation of it. Let me give you an example. Suppose you had an unpleasant interaction with a colleague at work. The conventional approach would be to replay the event in your mind, reinforcing the negative emotions and potentially carrying that energy into future interactions. But with revision, you would close your eyes and reimagine the scene as you wish it had unfolded. See your colleague responding with kindness and understanding. Feel the warmth of a positive interaction. Make this new version so vivid and real in your imagination that it supersedes the original memory. As you practice revision consistently, you will begin to see a remarkable transformation in your life. Not only will your present and future experiences begin to align with your revised versions of past, but you will also develop a deep sense of peace and empowerment, knowing that you are no longer at the mercy of past events or external circumstances. But revision is not limited to recent events. You can revise any aspect of your life story, any belief or assumption that no longer serves you. Were you told as a child that you were not smart enough, not talented enough, not worthy of love or success? Revise these limiting beliefs. Go back in your imagination and hear words of encouragement and support. Feel the confidence and self-assurance that comes from knowing your infinite worth and potential. This practice of revision is not about denying reality or living in fantasy. It is about understanding the true nature of reality as a projection of consciousness and exercising your divine right to choose which version of events you wish to make real in your world. Now, I can sense that some of you may be feeling overwhelmed by the magnitude of this teaching. You may be thinking, this all sounds wonderful, Neville, but where do I begin? How do I put this into practice in my daily life? To this I say, begin with the end in mind. Choose a desire, something you wish to be, do, or have. It could be anything: a new job, a loving relationship, improved health, financial abundance. Whatever it is, define it clearly in your mind. Now close your eyes and enter into a state of relaxation. Let go of all tension in your body and mind. As you relax, begin to imagine a scene that would imply the fulfillment of your desire. Make it as vivid and real as possible. Engage all your senses. What would you see, hear, feel, smell, taste if your desire were already fulfilled? Most importantly, Feel the emotion of your wish fulfilled. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the sense of accomplishment. For it is this feeling that is the secret to your creative power. Your emotional state is the channel through which your imaginal acts are impressed upon the subconscious mind and brought into physical manifestation. As you emerge from this imaginal act, carry the feeling with you. Let it permeate your entire being. Live from the assumption that what you have imagined is already a fact. This is what it means to live in the end. Now here's the crucial part. You must persist in this assumption. You must make your imaginal act more real to you than the evidence of your physical senses. This is where most people falter. They allow the apparent reality of the outer world to overshadow their imaginal act. They give up at the first sign that things are not changing as quickly as they'd like. But I assure you, if you persist in your assumption, if you remain faithful to your imaginal act, your outer world must conform to your inner conviction. It is law. For remember, your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state of consciousness. This persistence, this unwavering faith in the reality of your imaginal act is what separates those who transform their lives from those who continue to live in frustration and limitation. It is the key to not wasting your life, to living with purpose and power. But let me be clear, this is not about forcing or willing things to happen. It is not about struggle or strain. It is about aligning yourself with the natural creative process of the universe. It is about allowing your desires to unfold naturally and effortlessly as you maintain the consciousness of their fulfillment. Now, some of you may be wondering about the role of action in this process. You may be thinking, but Neville, surely we must do something to bring our desires into manifestation. And to this I say, inspired action will naturally flow from your assumed state. When you truly live in the end, when you fully embody the state of your wish fulfilled, you will find yourself naturally guided to take the steps necessary to bring your desire into physical manifestation. But this action will not feel like effort or struggle. It will be the calm, confident action of one who knows that their desire is already a fact. This is the difference between wasting your life in fruitless struggle and living with purpose and power. It is the difference between trying to make things happen through sheer force of will and allowing your good to flow to you naturally as you align yourself with the creative power of the universe. But I must warn you, as you begin to apply these principles, you may face challenges. You may encounter doubt, both from within yourself and from others. You may face seeming setbacks or delays. This is where your faith will be tested. Remember, the outer world may not immediately reflect your new inner state. There may be a time lag between your imaginal act and its physical manifestation. This period, which I call the Sabbath, is a time of rest and assurance. It is a time to remain faithful to your assumption, regardless of appearances. During this time, you may be tempted to doubt, to question whether your imaginal act was real or effective. You may be tempted to return to your old patterns of thinking and behaving. But I urge you, do not waver. Hold fast to your assumption, for it is your faith, your persistent assumption, that will ultimately reshape your reality. This, my dear friends, is a true test of your creative power. It is easy to believe when things are going well, when your outer world aligns with your desires. But it takes real faith, real understanding of your divine nature, to persist in your assumption when everything seems to contradict. But I assure you, if you persist, if you remain faithful to your imaginal act, you will see miracles unfold in your life. You will witness the power of your consciousness to reshape your reality in ways that may seem impossible from your current standpoint. Now let us address another crucial aspect of not wasting your life: the importance of living in the present moment. Many people waste their lives by constantly dwelling on the past or anxiously anticipating the future. They fail to realize that the present moment is the only point of power, the only place where life can be truly lived and experienced. When you understand the law of assumption, you realize that the past has no power over you except the power you give it through your present assumptions. The future is not something to be feared or anxiously awaited, but something you are creating now through your current state of consciousness. Living in the present moment doesn't mean ignoring the past or failing to plan for the future. Rather, it means being fully aware and conscious in the here and now, recognizing that this moment is where all your creative power lies. It means using your imagination constructively to create the future you desire, rather than letting your mind wander aimlessly or dwell on negative past experiences. This present moment awareness is crucial for effective manifestation, for it is only in the present moment that you can assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. It is only in the now that you can impress upon your subconscious mind the reality you wish to experience. Moreover, living in the present moment allows you to fully appreciate and enjoy the life you are creating. Many people waste their lives by constantly chasing after future goals, never pausing to appreciate the journey or the present moment. They fail to realize that life is not a destination to be reached, but a journey to be lived and enjoyed. By living fully in the present, you can experience the joy and fulfillment that comes from being alive while still working towards your desires. Another crucial aspect of not wasting your life is understanding the importance of your self-concept. Your self-concept, or the beliefs and assumptions you hold about yourself, is the foundation upon which your entire life experience is built. Many people waste their lives by accepting limiting beliefs about themselves, never realizing their true potential. They go through life believing they are not good enough, not smart enough, worthy of love, or worthy of us. But I tell you, these beliefs are nothing more than illusions, shadows cast by the limited thinking of man. To truly live, to make the most of the divine gift of life, you must cultivate a self-concept that aligns with your desires and your true divine nature. This means consciously choosing to see yourself as the person you wish to be, regardless of current circumstances or past experiences. It means affirming your divine nature, your infinite potential, your worthiness of all good things. As you consistently maintain this elevated self-concept, you will find your outer world reshaping itself to match your inner conviction. In conclusion, my dear friends, the key to not wasting your life lies in awakening to your true nature as a divine creative being. It lies in understanding and applying the law of assumption, in living from the end, in revivalising your past, in being fully present in the now, and in cultivating a self-concept that aligns with your highest aspirations. It means taking full responsibility for your life experience, recognizing that you are the author of your own story, the creator of your own reality. As you embark on this journey of awakening and conscious creation, remember that you are never alone. The infinite creative power of the universe is always with you, for it is your very essence. Trust in this power, have faith in your divine nature, and persist in your assumptions. For as you do so, you will witness the miraculous unfolding of a life beyond your wildest dreams, a life of purpose, fulfillment, and true joy. This, my friends, is what it means to truly live, to make the most of the precious gift of life. Go forth now and create the life you desire, for all things are possible to him who believes. Now, let me share with you a principle so profound, yet so simple, that it will completely revolutionize your understanding of manifestation. The words you speak to yourself, those intimate conversations that fill your consciousness day and night, are not mere thoughts floating in the void. They are the very substance of creation itself. You see, while the world teaches you to speak affirmations as though they were magical incantations, you are being awakened to the truth that it is not the words themselves that hold power, but the consciousness from which they spring. Every word you speak to yourself is either accepting or rejecting your desires and consciousness. Consider this eternal principle. When you speak to yourself, you are not merely engaging in idle mental chatter, you are declaring the state of consciousness you occupy. And since consciousness is the only reality, these declarations become the blueprint of your manifested world. I tell you with absolute certainty, the conversation you hold with yourself is the most important conversation you will ever have. For in these intimate dialogues, you are either accepting your good as a present fact or pushing it away as a future possibility. Now let us understand something that few will grasp, but that your soul will recognize as truth. When you speak to yourself, you are not speaking to a separate entity. You are speaking as the very consciousness that creates and sustains the universe. This is why your self-talk holds such creative power. Most will continue to believe that they must speak to some external power, never realizing that the power they seek is the very consciousness that enables them to speak. But you who have been drawn to these words by divine law, are ready to understand that all speaking is speaking to consciousness itself. You see, while others exhaust themselves with endless positive affirmations spoken from a consciousness of lack, you are being awakened to the truth that it is not the words that create, but the consciousness from which they emanate. The very fact that these words find resonance within you is evidence that you have evolved beyond the surface understanding of self-talk. You are ready to assume your rightful place as a conscious creator, knowing that your words to yourself are the very substance of creation. Now, let me reveal to you why the manner in which you speak to yourself holds such transformative power. The words you whisper in the silence of your own mind are not merely thoughts. They are the very vibrations that shape the substance of your reality. You see, while countless individuals fill their minds with desperate affirmations, speaking from a place of want and need, you are being awakened to the truth that effective self-talk must emerge from a consciousness of already having. This is the divine secret that accelerates all manifestation. Consider this profound truth when you speak to yourself as though your desire is still to come. You are actually speaking from, and therefore creating a state of consciousness where your desire remains perpetually in the future. This is why so many find their manifestation seemingly delayed. I tell you with absolute authority, the way you speak to yourself must be from the consciousness of fulfillment, not from the consciousness of wanting. When you say I will be, you speak from lack. When you say I am, you speak from completion. Now let us understand something that the rational mind might resist, but that the awakened mind embraces fully. Your self-talk is not preparation for having your desire, it is the actual substance of having it. Every word you speak to yourself either affirms your possession or confirms your lack. Most will continue to speak to themselves from a consciousness of separation, saying things like I want, I need, I hope, never realizing that these very words create and sustain the experience of wanting, needing, and hoping. But you who have been prepared for this message, are ready to understand that your self-talk must be from the end, from the consciousness of fulfillment. You see, while others fill their minds with future-oriented speech, always pushing their good ahead of them in time, you are being awakened to the truth that effective self-talk must be anchored in the present, in the consciousness of already being what you desire to be. The very fact that you grasp these words is evidence that you have evolved beyond the superficial understanding of affirmations. You are ready to speak to yourself with the authority of one who knows that consciousness is the only reality. You see, while the world teaches you to repeat affirmations with mechanical precision, you are being awakened to the truth that it is not repetition that creates, but the state of consciousness from which your words emerge. This is why some people can affirm endlessly without results. Consider this eternal principle. When you speak to yourself with the authority of one who knows their desire is already fulfilled, you speak from a consciousness that must, by divine law, produce that fulfillment in your world. This is why results appear to come 10 times faster. I tell you with unwavering certainty, the way you speak to yourself, when no one else is listening, is creating your future with mathematical precision. Every word you utter to yourself is either accepting or rejecting your desired state as a present fact. Now let us understand something that few will grasp, but that your deeper self knows to be true. When you speak to yourself from a consciousness of lack, saying I want to be, I hope to have, I will become, you are actually reinforcing the very state of consciousness that keeps your desire at a distance. Most will continue to speak to themselves with doubt, with uncertainty, with a consciousness of separation from their good, never realizing that this very manner of self-talk ensures their good remains perpetually out of reach. But you who have been drawn to these words of divine law, are ready to understand that yourself must be from the consciousness of possession, not pursuit. You see, while others fill their minds with desperate pleadings and future-oriented affirmations, you are being awakened to the truth that effective self-talk must be from the state of fulfillment. When you speak to yourself, you must speak as though you are already that which you desire to be. The very fact that these words continue to resonate within you is evidence that you have evolved beyond the surface understanding of manifestation. You are ready to speak to yourself with the authority of one who knows that consciousness is the only reality. Now let me reveal to you something so profound about the rhythm and timing of your self-talk that it will revolutionize your manifesting power. The moments when you speak to yourself in complete privacy, in that sacred silence of your own consciousness, are the most potent creative moments of your day. You see, while many reserve their self-talk for designated manifestation times or meditation sessions, you are being awakened to the truth that every moment of self-talk is a moment of creation. There is no such thing as casual or insignificant inner conversation. Consider this divine principle: the words you speak to yourself in your most routine moments, while dressing, while eating, while walking, are actually more powerful than your formal battling up. For these natural, spontaneous conversations reveal and create your true state of consciousness. I tell you with absolute conviction, when you learn to speak to yourself throughout the day as though you are already the person you desire to be, you accelerate manifestation tenfold. For you are no longer trying to manifest, you are simply being what you desire to be. Now let us understand something that the logical mind might resist, but that the awakened mind embraces fully. Every time you catch yourself in negative self-talk and consciously shift to speaking from the end, you are actually compressing time in consciousness. This is why manifestation appears to happen faster. Most will continue to separate their manifestation practice from their daily life, never realizing that every moment of self-talk is either affirming or denying their desired state. But you who have been prepared for this message, are ready to understand that all self-talk is creative self-talk. You see, while others reserve their powerful words for special occasions, you are being awakened to the truth that it is the constant, natural flow of your self-talk that shapes your world. The casual remarks you make to yourself about your life, your circumstances, your future, these are the true creators of your experience. The very fact that you can grasp these principles is evidence that you have evolved beyond the basic understanding of manifestation. You are ready to assume your place as a conscious creator who knows that every word spoken to self is a brick in the foundation of your reality. You see, while many attempt to force manifestation through sheer volume of affirmations, you are being awakened to the truth that it is not the quantity of your self-talk that matters, but its quality, the state of consciousness from which it springs. This is the key to tenfold acceleration. Consider this eternal principle. When your inner conversation naturally flows from the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you no longer need to wait for time to bridge a gap, because in consciousness there is no gap to bridge. This is why some manifest instantly while others wait endlessly. I tell you with absolute authority, the difference between instant manifestation and delayed manifestation lies not in external conditions, but in the degree to which your self-talk naturally assumes the tone of your desire fulfilled. When this assumption is complete, manifestation appears instantaneous. Now let us understand something that few will grasp, but that your soul will recognize as truth. The very act of speaking to yourself as though waiting for your desire creates the experience of waiting. But when you speak to yourself from the consciousness of immediate possession, time collapses. Most will continue to speak to themselves with an undertone of when and how and maybe, never realizing that these very patterns of self-talk create the experience of uncertainty and desire. But you who have been drawn to these words by divine law are ready to understand that your self-talk must contain no element of future. You see, while others exhaust themselves with endless repetitions of affirmations spoken from a consciousness of lack, you are being awakened to the truth that a single word spoken from the consciousness of fulfillment is more powerful than 1,000 spoken from want. The very fact that you can feel the truth of these words is evidence that you have evolved beyond the superficial understanding of manifestation. You are ready to speak to yourself with the natural authority of one who knows that consciousness is the only reality. Now, let me reveal to you something so fundamental about accelerated manifestation that it will revolutionize your understanding of self-talk. The very language you use when speaking to yourself either opens or closes the door to instant manifestation. You see, while the world continues to speak to itself in terms of process and becoming, you are being awakened to the truth that the language of instant manifestation is the language of being. This is why those who master this principle manifest their desires with such remarkable speed. Consider this divine truth when you speak to yourself using phrases like "I am working towards" or "I am getting better at." You are actually creating and sustaining a state of consciousness where your desire remains perpetually in process. This is the very language that delays manifestation. I tell you with unwavering certainty, the language that accelerates manifestation is the language of present possession. When you say "I am," I embody, you speak the language of fulfilled desire. And fulfilled desire manifests with lightning speed. Now let us understand something that the rational mind might resist, but that the awakened mind embraces fully. Every time you speak to yourself about your desire, as though it was still to come, you push it into a future that never arrives. But when you speak of it as present fact, you collapse time and consciousness. Most will continue to use the language of becoming, of progress, of gradual improvement, never realizing that this very language ensures their manifestation remains gradual and progressive. But you who have been prepared for this message, are ready to understand that the language of instant manifestation is the language of immediate possession. You see, while others fill their minds with words that imply future fulfillment, you are being awakened to the truth that the only language that accelerates manifestation is the language of present fulfillment. When you speak to yourself, every word must assume the tone of already being what you desire to be. The very fact that these words find such resonance within you is evidence that you have evolved beyond the basic understanding of manifestation. You are ready to speak to yourself with the natural authority of one who knows that consciousness is the only reality. You see, while many believe they must set aside specific times for their manifestation practice, you are being awakened to the truth that every moment of self-talk is a moment of creation. The key to accelerated manifestation lies in maintaining constant awareness of your inner dialogue. Consider this eternal principle. When you allow gaps in your conscious self-talk, you allow doubt and contrary thoughts to seep in. This is why those who maintain consistent, aligned self-talk throughout their day manifest with such remarkable speed and precision. I tell you with absolute authority, the power to accelerate manifestation tenfold lies not in occasional bursts of powerful affirmations, but in the constant and natural self-talk that assumes your desire is already fulfilled. Every moment of consciousness is a moment of creation. Now let us understand something that few will grasp, but that your deeper self knows to be true. The very pauses between your conscious self-talk are often filled with unconscious contrary thoughts. This is why maintaining aware, deliberate self throughout your day is crucial for rapid manifestation. Most will continue to treat their self-talk as intermittent practice, never realizing that the gaps between their conscious affirmations are filled with unconscious negations. But you who have been drawn to these words by divine law, are ready to understand that effective self-talk must be as constant as breathing. You see, while others reserve their manifestation practice for designated times, you are being awakened to the truth that every word you speak to yourself, whether in focused practice or casual thought, is either accepting or rejecting your desired state. There are no neutral thoughts. The very fact that you can grasp these principles is evidence that you have evolved beyond the surface understanding of manifestation. You are ready to maintain the kind of consistent, conscious self-talk that collapses time and accelerates manifestation. Now let me reveal to you something so vital about the tone and texture of your self-talk that it will revolutionize your manifestation practice. The emotional quality with which you speak to yourself is the very frequency that determines the speed of manifestation. You see, while many focus solely on the words they speak to themselves, you are being awakened to the truth that it is the feeling tone behind your words that carries the real creative power. This is why some manifest instantly while others repeat the same words endlessly without results. Consider this divine principle when you speak to yourself with the natural confidence and ease of one who knows their desire is already fulfilled. You generate a frequency in consciousness that must, by eternal law, produce rapid manifestation. This is the secret of tenfold acceleration. I tell you with complete certainty, the difference between slow and rapid manifestation lies not in the words themselves, but in the feeling state from which they emerge. When you speak to yourself from a state of absolute knowing, rather than hoping or wanting or collapsed time in conscious. Now let us understand something that the logical mind might resist, but that the awakened mind embraces fully. Every word you speak to yourself carries a specific vibrational quality. This vibration either aligns with your desire fulfilled or perpetuates a state of wanting and waiting. Most will continue to speak to themselves with an undertone of doubt, of questioning, of uncertainty, never realizing that this very emotional texture ensures their manifestation remains slow and uncertain. But you who have been prepared for this message, are ready to understand that your thought must carry the absolute conviction of present possession. You see, while others speak to themselves with the emotional texture of need and want, you are being awakened to the truth that the feeling tone of your self-talk must be one of calm, natural acceptance. When you speak to yourself as though your desire is already yours, with the same casual certainty with which you know your own name, you accelerate manifestation tenfold. The very fact that these words resonate within you is evidence that you have evolved beyond the basic understanding of manifestation. You are ready to speak to yourself with the emotional texture of one who knows that consciousness is the only reality. You see, while many struggle to maintain consistent self-talk throughout their day, you are being awakened to the truth that it is the unbroken nature of your inner dialogue that creates accelerated manifestation. Every moment you speak to yourself either strengthens or weakens your desired state. Consider this eternal principle. When your self-talk naturally and consistently flows from the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, without gaps or contradictions, you create a momentum in consciousness that must manifest with increasing speed. This is the secret of tenfold acceleration. I tell you with absolute conviction, the power to manifest rapidly lies not in occasional powerful statements, but in the consistent, natural flow of self-talk that assumes your desire as an accomplished fact. It is this unbroken chain of aligned consciousness that collapses time. Now, let us understand something that few will grasp, but that your soul will recognize as truth. Every time your self-talk wavers from the consciousness of fulfillment, you create a ripple of doubt that must be overcome. This is why persistence in your inner conversation is crucial for rapid manifestation. Most will continue to allow their self-talk to fluctuate between states of having and wanting, never realizing that this very inconsistency creates the experience of delayed manifestation. But you who have been drawn to these words by divine law, are ready to understand that your self-talk must maintain an unwavering assumption of fulfillment. You see, while others treat their self-talk as something to be practiced occasionally, you are being awakened to the truth that it is the consistent, natural flow of inner conversation aligned with your desire that creates accelerated manifestation. Every moment of consciousness is either strengthening or weakening your assumption. The very fact that you can feel the truth of these words is evidence that you have evolved beyond the surface understanding of manifestation. You are ready to maintain the kind of persistent, aligned self-talk that collapses time and accelerates manifestation. Now, as we bring these eternal principles to their culmination, let me share with you the final and perhaps most crucial truth about accelerated manifestation through self-talk. The very consciousness from which you speak these final words must be the same consciousness from which you will continue to speak to yourself. You see, While many will leave this message and return to their old patterns of self-talk, you are being awakened to the truth that this moment marks not an ending, but a beginning, the beginning of a new way of speaking to yourself that must, by eternal law, accelerate all manifestation. Consider this final principle. The very fact that you have remained attentive through these revelations proves that you are ready to maintain the kind of self-talk that creates rapid, consistent manifestation. Your consciousness has been prepared for this transformation. I tell you with absolute finality, the words you speak to yourself from this moment forward must carry the same authority, the same conviction, the same consciousness of fulfillment that you have felt while receiving these truths. For this is the self-talk that manifests desires tenfold faster. Now understand this ultimate truth that binds all we have discussed. Your self-talk is not preparation for having your desire. It is the very substance of having it. Every word you speak to yourself from this moment forward must emerge from the consciousness of fulfilled desire. Most will leave such teachings and gradually slip back into their old patterns of self-talk. But you who have been prepared by divine law to receive these words, are ready to maintain this new pattern of inner conversation that assumes the tone and texture of desires fulfilled. You see, while others may treat these principles as mere information to be remembered, you are being awakened to the truth that they must become the very foundation of your inner dialogue. Every word you speak to yourself must now carry the conviction of these eternal truths. The very fact that you have remained present through these revelations is evidence that you have evolved beyond the basic understanding of manifestation. You are ready to speak to yourself with the natural authority of one who knows that consciousness is the only reality. Remember, from this moment forward, your self-talk must maintain the same quality of conscious assumption that you have felt while receiving these truths. For in doing so, you collapse time and accelerate manifestation tenfold. Go forth now, not as one who has merely learned about powerful self-talk, but as one who has become the embodiment of it. Let every word you speak to yourself carry the texture of fulfillment, the tone of possession, the natural ease of one who knows their desires are already accomplished facts in consciousness. For you have not just received information about how to speak to yourself, you have been awakened to the consciousness from which effective self-talk must flow. Let every word you speak to yourself from this moment and forward emerge from the same consciousness of fulfillment. And know this with unwavering certainty, the very consciousness that allowed you to receive these words is the consciousness from which you must now speak to yourself. For this is not the end of a teaching, but the beginning of a new way of being, a way that manifests desires with the speed of thought itself. For consciousness is the only reality, and the consciousness from which you speak to yourself is the consciousness that creates your world. Go forth now and speak to yourself with the authority of one who knows that their words are the pure thoughts, but the very substance of creation itself. Now let me share with you a truth so profound, yet so simple, that most will miss it entirely. Your dreams, those desires that burn within your heart, are not distant stars to be reached in some far-off future. They are present now, living and breathing in your consciousness, closer than your own heartbeat. You see, while the world teaches you to see your desires as something to be achieved through time and space, I tell you with absolute certainty that your desires exist now in consciousness. The very fact that you can imagine them proves their existence in the only place that truly matters, your consciousness. Consider this eternal principle. Everything that exists in your world first existed in your consciousness. The chair you sit on, the clothes you wear, the very device through which you receive these words. All were first imagined before they became what you call reality. Your desires follow the same divine law. Most people live their entire lives believing that their dreams are far away, separated from them by time, circumstances, or what they call reality. But I tell you this, such separation exists only in their consciousness. The moment you truly understand this, your entire world will transform. Now, let me share something that few will understand, but you will recognize as truth. The feeling of distance between you and your desires is not a physical distance, but a gap in consciousness. When you feel far from your dreams, it is only because you are occupying a state of consciousness that creates that illusion of distance. You see, while others spend their lives waiting for their dreams to manifest, you are being awakened to the truth that your dreams are not coming, they are already here, existing now in consciousness. Your task is not to achieve them, but to accept their present reality in consciousness. The very fact that you can desire something is proof of its existence. For how could you desire something that does not exist? The desire itself is God's promise of its fulfillment, already completed in consciousness. Now let me reveal to you why most people never realize how close they truly are to their desires. They have been trained since birth to trust their physical senses above all else, to believe that what they can see and touch is more real than what exists in consciousness. This is the grand illusion that keeps them bound. You see, while the masses continue to look for the good in the outer world, measuring the distance to their dreams in physical terms, you are being awakened to the truth that all distance is in consciousness. The only separation between you and your desire is the belief in separation itself. Consider this in this very moment as you absorb these words. Your desires exist in their complete and perfect form within your consciousness. They are not becoming, they are. The only reason they appear distant is because you are viewing them through the lens of time and space. I tell you with absolute certainty, your dreams are not waiting to become real. They are already real in consciousness. The oak tree does not wait to become an oak tree. It exists fully formed within the acorn. Similarly, your desires exist fully formed within your consciousness. Now let us understand something that the rational mind might reject, but your deeper self knows to be true. The feeling that you are far from your dreams is itself a dream, a state of consciousness you have accepted as reality. But just as you can wake from a night dream, you can wake from this dream of separation. Most will continue to measure progress toward their dreams by external standards, never realizing that external reality is merely consciousness pushed out. But you have been drawn to these words by divine law, are ready to understand that the external is simply a shadow of consciousness. You see, while others struggle and strive, trying to bridge what they perceive as a gap between themselves and their desires, you are being awakened to the truth that there is no gap to bridge. The only distance that exists is the distance you create in consciousness. Now let me share with you something so fundamental that it will completely transform your understanding of manifestation. The very feeling that your dreams are distant is the exact feeling that keeps them appearing distant in your world of effects. This is the law operating with mathematical precision. You see, while countless individuals waste precious energy trying to reach what they believe is far away, you are being awakened to the revolutionary truth that nothing is far away in consciousness. In consciousness, where all creation takes place, everything exists in the eternal now. Consider this profound truth: the dream you hold so dear, that seems to elude your grasp, is as present and real as the breath you're breathing. Its apparent distance is not a physical reality, but a state of consciousness you've accepted as truth. Change the state, and you change the apparent distance. I tell you with unwavering certainty, your desires are not waiting to be fulfilled in some distant future. They are waiting to be recognized as present realities in consciousness. The moment you truly grasp this, the illusion of distance dissolves like morning mist before the rising sun. Now let us delve deeper into why this truth escapes so many. The human mind, conditioned by centuries of time-bound thinking, cannot easily grasp that everything exists simultaneously in consciousness. They see life as a linear progression, never realizing that all states exist now. Most will continue to believe that they must journey toward their dreams, never understanding that the journey itself is the illusion. But you who have been prepared to receive this message, are ready to step into the awareness that where you want to be already exists in consciousness. You see, while others exhaust themselves trying to bridge imaginary gaps, you are being awakened to the truth that there are no gaps in consciousness. The only separation between you and your desire is the belief in separation itself. The very fact that these words resonate within you is proof that you have evolved beyond the mass hypnosis of distance and time. You are ready to assume your place as a conscious operator of the law, knowing that what you seek is already yours in consciousness. Now, let me reveal something so profound about the nature of your desires that it will forever change how you perceive your relationship to them. The very consciousness that allows you to conceive of your dream is the same consciousness in which that dream already exists in its fulfilled state. You see, while the world teaches you to chase after your desires as though they were butterflies to be caught, you are being awakened to the truth that your desires are not something to be pursued, but something to be assumed. They exist now, as present as your own being. Consider this eternal principle. Everything you could ever desire already exists in consciousness in its completed state. The feeling of moving toward it is the very illusion that keeps it seemingly at a distance. This is why so few ever realize how close they truly are to their dreams. I tell you with absolute authority, your desire is not separated from you by space or time. It is separated from you only by your failure to occupy the state of consciousness where it already exists as fact. This is the mystery that has been hidden from the ages. Now let us understand something that your rational mind might resist, but your soul will recognize as truth. The space between where you are and where you want to be exists only in your imagination. And since imagination is reality, you can collapse that space in an instant by assuming the consciousness of your wish fulfilled. Most will continue to believe that they must take endless steps to reach their dreams, never realizing that consciousness can leap across apparent distances in a single bound. But you who have been drawn to these words by divine law, are ready to understand that all journeys are journeys in consciousness. You see, while others exhaust themselves with physical effort, you are being awakened to the truth that the only movement required is movement in consciousness. When you change your consciousness, you change everything. The very fact that you can conceive of your desire means it already exists in completion within you. Your task is not to create it, for it is already created. Your task is simply to enter the state where it is naturally yours. You see, while the world teaches patience and perseverance in pursuing dreams, I tell you that such pursuit only reinforces the illusion of separation. Your dreams are not ahead of you in time. They are parallel to you in consciousness, existing now as completed realities. Consider this divine paradox. The more intensely you strive toward your desire, believing it to be distant, the more you reinforce its apparent distance. Yet the moment you assume it as present fact in consciousness, the illusion of distance dissolves, and what seemed far becomes intimately near. I tell you with complete certainty, the gap you perceive between your current state and your desired state exists nowhere but in your consciousness. Change your consciousness, and you change the apparent gap. This is the law operating with perfect precision. Now, let us understand something that few will grasp, but you will recognize as truth. Your desires are not future events waiting to unfold. They are present realities waiting to be recognized. Just as a radio station exists whether or not you're tuned to it, your desire exists whether or not you're conscious of its presence. Most will continue to project their good into some future time, never realizing that by doing so, they perpetually push it away from their experience. But you who have been prepared to receive this message are ready to understand that time is not a distance to be traveled, but a state to be entered. You see, while others exhaust themselves trying to reach what they believe is far away, you are being awakened to the truth that nothing is far away in consciousness. In consciousness, where all creation takes place, everything exists in the eternal now. The very fact that these words continue to resonate within you is evidence that you have evolved beyond the mass hypnosis of time and distance. You are ready to assume your rightful place as a conscious creator, knowing that what you seek is already yours. You see, while humanity continues to believe in the necessity of effort and struggle to bridge the gap between themselves and their desires, you are being awakened to the truth that there is no gap to bridge. The only gap that exists is the gap in consciousness between accepting and rejecting your good. Consider this eternal truth. In this very moment, as these words penetrate your consciousness, every desire you hold exists in its completed form. Not in some distant future, not in some far-off place, but here and now in the only place that anything can truly exist, consciousness itself. I tell you with absolute conviction, your desires are not waiting to be created. They are waiting to be accepted. Just as a room filled with music exists for both the deaf and the hearing, your fulfilled desire exists whether you are conscious of it or not. Now let us understand something that the rational mind might resist, but your deeper self knows to be true. The feeling of distance from your desire is itself a dream from which you must awaken. You have been dreaming of distance when there is only presence. Most will continue to believe that manifestation requires time, effort, struggle, never realizing that these very beliefs create the experience of time, effort, struggle. But you who have been drawn to this message by divine law, are ready to understand that manifestation is simply consciousness expressed. You see, while others spend their lives trying to get somewhere, you are being awakened to the truth that there is nowhere to get to. Your desired state already exists, complete and perfect, waiting only for your conscious recognition and acceptance. The very fact that you can imagine your desire is proof of its existence in consciousness? Or how could you imagine something that does not exist? The power to imagine is the power to experience, for imagination and reality are one. Now let me share with you why this understanding is so vital to the realization of your desires. The belief that you must become something other than what you are now to experience your desires is the very belief that keeps them appearing distant and unattainable. You see, while the world teaches that you must change external conditions to realize your dreams, you are being awakened to the revolutionary truth that you need only change your consciousness. For consciousness is the only reality, and all else is merely its shadow. Consider this profound principle. In the very moment you truly accept that your desire exists now in consciousness, the whole universe must reorganize itself to make this consciousness visible in your world. This is not a process in time, it is an awakening to what already is. I tell you with absolute authority, the state you seek to occupy already exists, complete and perfect in consciousness. Your journey is not to create it, but to awaken to its present reality. This is why sleep is such a perfect metaphor for manifestation. Now let us understand something that few will grasp, but that your soul will recognize as truth. When you sleep at night, you do not struggle to enter the dream state. You simply relax and allow it to embrace you. Similarly, you need not struggle to enter the state of your fulfilled desire. You need only relax your opposition to it. Most will continue to believe that they must fight and strain to achieve their dreams, never realizing that this very struggle keeps them bound to the state of wanting rather than having. But you who have been prepared to receive this message are ready to understand that relaxation, not effort, is the key. You see, while others exhaust themselves trying to make things happen, you are being awakened to the truth that nothing needs to happen. Everything already is in consciousness. Your task is simply to enter the state of consciousness where your desire naturally exists. The very fact that these words continue to find resonance within you is evidence that you have evolved beyond the mass hypnosis of effort and struggle. You are ready to assume your rightful place as a conscious creator, knowing that what you seek is already yours in consciousness. Now, let me reveal to you something so fundamental about the nature of consciousness that it will transform your entire understanding of manifestation. The very state of consciousness you occupy while believing your desires are distant is the state that makes them appear distant in your world. You see, while humanity persists in believing that their good must be pursued, chased, and captured, you are being awakened to the truth that your good is pursuing you with the same intensity that you pursue it. For in consciousness, subject and object are one. Consider this eternal principle. The consciousness of having your desire and the consciousness of wanting your desire cannot occupy the same space. Just as you cannot be in New York and Los Angeles simultaneously in space, you cannot occupy these opposing states simultaneously in consciousness. I tell you with unwavering certainty, the moment you truly grasp that consciousness is the only reality, you will understand why your desires have seemed distant. They have seemed distant only because you have been conscious of their distance rather than their presence. Now let us understand something that the natural mind might reject, but that spiritual mind embraces fully. Your consciousness is not merely a receiver of reality, it is reality itself. The world you see is simply your consciousness pushed out, made visible. Most will continue to believe that their desires are separate from them, existing in some future time or distant place, never realizing that this very belief creates and sustains the experience of separation. But you who have been drawn to these words by divine law, are ready to understand that separation exists only in consciousness. You see, while others spend their lives trying to reach what they believe is far away, you are being awakened to the truth that nothing is far away in consciousness. In consciousness, where all creation takes place, everything exists in the eternal now. The very fact that you can conceive of your desire is proof of its present reality in consciousness. For consciousness can only conceive of what already exists within it. The power to conceive is the power to experience, for conception and experience are one. Now let me share with you something so profound about the relationship between your consciousness and your desires that it will revolutionize your entire approach to manifestation. The very act of believing your dreams are distant is the act that creates the experience of distance. You see, while the world teaches you to bridge gaps and overcome obstacles to reach your desires, you are being awakened to the truth that these gaps and obstacles exist nowhere but in consciousness. They are as real and as unreal as the shadows cast by clouds across the earth. Consider this divine principle. In consciousness, there is no process of becoming. There is only being. When you enter a room, you do not gradually become present in that room. You are either present or you are not. The same law operates in the fulfillment of your desires. I tell you with absolute conviction, the state of consciousness you seek to attain exists now in its complete perfection. It is not becoming more perfect. It is not waiting to be created. It exists now as pure and complete as mathematics itself. Now, let us understand something that few will grasp, but that your deeper self knows as truth. The feeling of progress toward your desire, the sense of getting closer, is itself part of the illusion that keeps you in the state of wanting rather than having. Most will continue to measure their progress toward their dreams using external standards, never realizing that external reality is merely consciousness objectified. But you who have been prepared for this message, are ready to understand that all progress is progress in consciousness. You see, while others exhaust themselves with physical effort, believing they must do something to achieve their desires, you are being awakened to the truth that the only doing required is the doing in consciousness. For when consciousness changes, all else must change to conform to it. The very fact that these words find resonance within you is evidence that you have evolved beyond the mass hypnosis of time and process. You are ready to assume your rightful place as a conscious creator, knowing that what you seek is already yours in consciousness. Now let me reveal to you something so essential about the nature of your desires that it will completely transform your understanding of manifestation. The very consciousness that allows you to conceive of your desire is the same consciousness in which that desire already exists as fact. You see, while the world continues to teach that desires must be pursued through time and space, you are being awakened to the revolutionary truth that your desires are not ahead of you in time, but parallel to you in consciousness, existing now as completed realities. Consider this eternal principle. When you look into a mirror, your reflection doesn't gradually appear. It is either there or it is not. Similarly, your desire doesn't gradually become real. It is either accepted as real in consciousness or it is not. This is the law. I tell you with absolute authority, the gap you perceive between yourself and your desire exists nowhere but in your acceptance of such a gap. The moment you cease to accept separation from your desire, the illusion of separation must dissolve, for consciousness is only reality. Now, let us understand something that the rational mind might resist, but that the awakened mind embraces fully. The feeling of moving toward your desire is itself the very state that keeps it seemingly in the future. For how can you move toward what already exists where you are? Most will continue to believe in the necessity of time and process, never realizing that these are but conditions they have imposed upon themselves through their consciousness. But you who have been drawn to these words by divine law are ready to understand that time is not a distance to be traveled, but a state to be entered. You see, while others exhaust themselves trying to make things happen, you are being awakened to the truth that nothing needs to happen. Everything already is in consciousness. Your task is not to create, but to accept what already exists. The very fact that these words continue to find resonance within you is evidence that you have evolved beyond the mass hypnosis of becoming. You are ready to assume your rightful place as a conscious creator, knowing that what you seek seeks you with equal intensity. Now, as we draw these eternal principles to their culmination, let me share with you one final truth that will forever seal your understanding of the proximity of your desires. The very act of concluding this message is itself a demonstration of the principle we have been discussing. You see, just as this message has it is completeness from the moment we began, your desires exist in their completeness from the moment of their conception. The only variable is your awareness of this completion. Consider this final principle in this very moment. As these words reach their natural conclusion, nothing is actually ending. Rather, you are simply shifting your consciousness from one completed state to another. This is how all manifestation operates. I tell you with profound finality, your desires are not waiting to be fulfilled in some distant future. They are waiting here and now for your recognition of their present reality. The distance you have felt has been nothing more than the distance between your current state of consciousness and the consciousness of your wish fulfilled. Now understand this ultimate truth that binds all we have discussed. You are not moving toward your desires are not moving toward you. In consciousness, where all creation takes place, everything exists in perfect simultaneity. The only movement required is the movement of your awareness. You who have remained attentive through these revelations are ready to accept that your dreams are not distant stars to be reached, but present realities to be recognized. The very fact that you can conceive of them proves their existence in the only place that matters, consciousness itself. As you leave this message, know that you leave not as one who must journey toward their dreams, but as one who has been awakened to the presence of their dreams. For in consciousness, where all creation takes place, there is no journey, there is only awakening. Remember this, the consciousness that drew you to these words is the same consciousness in which your desires live and breathe. You need not reach for them, for they are as near as your own awareness. You need not struggle toward them, for they exist now in their perfect completion. Go forth now not as one who seeks, but as one who has found. Not as one who hopes, but as one who knows. For the truth you have received today is not a truth to be achieved, but a truth to be accepted. That your dreams are not distant, they are present, they are not becoming, they are. And know this with unwavering certainty. The very consciousness that allowed you to receive these words is the consciousness in which all your desires already exist in their fulfilled state. You have not been learning how to reach your dreams. You have been remembering that they are already yours. For consciousness is the only reality, and in consciousness all things exist now. This is the eternal truth that sets you free from the illusion of distance and time. This is the truth that transforms seeking into finding, becoming into being, and distance into presence. And now, as these words find their completion in consciousness, know that nothing is ending, rather, you are simply shifting your awareness to the truth that has always been, that you are closer to your dreams than you think. For in consciousness, where all creation takes place, they are not distant at all. They are here, they are now, they are you. You are here because your imagination, that divine and creative force within you, has drawn you to this exact moment. Let us understand a profound truth. In all existence, there are no accidents. Every moment, every encounter, every single word you're absorbing right now was predetermined by the state of consciousness you have been occupying. Your presence here is a testament to the law that governs all things, the law of consciousness. You see, while millions walk this earth, only a select few will receive this message. Not because it's hidden, not because it's exclusive, but because only those who are ready to awaken to their true power will be drawn to it. This is the law working with mathematical precision. Consider for a moment, out of all the possible moments in time, out of all the possible messages you could be receiving, you are here now reading these words. This is not coincidence. This is consciousness expressing itself through the perfect pattern of divine timing. Now, let me share with you what I know to be true through my own experience. The very fact that you are here means you have reached a point in your spiritual evolution where you are ready to understand the deeper mysteries of existence. You are ready to grasp that which only a few will ever comprehend. Your outer world, every detail of it, is nothing more than your consciousness pushed out. The fact that you are receiving this message now is evidence that within you, there exists a state of readiness, a state of spiritual receptivity that has manifested this very moment. Many will say this is too simple to be true. They will look for complexity, for difficult paths and arduous journeys. But I tell you this, the greatest truths are always the simplest. The truth that your consciousness is the only reality is so simple that most will miss it entirely. Now, let me share with you why this message finds only those who are ready to receive it. You see, in this vast world, endless chatter and noise, only those who have reached a certain frequency of consciousness will be able to hear these words and understand their profound meaning. Consciousness, being the only reality, operates with perfect precision. Just as a radio must be tuned to the exact frequency to receive a particular broadcast, your consciousness had to be tuned to this exact spiritual frequency to receive this message. This is not theory, this is law. Consider for a moment, there are billions of thoughts being thought at this very instant, countless words being spoken and written. Yet you are here, your attention fixed on these specific words. This is not random. This is the law of consciousness operating with divine accuracy. I tell you with absolute certainty, your presence here is a sign that you have been prepared. Through all your past experiences, through every moment of doubt and questioning, to receive this truth. You have been led here by the God within you, that infinite creative power that is your true self. Now let us understand something fundamental about this moment. While others are seeking external solutions, running from teacher to teacher, from book to book, you have been drawn to this message because somewhere within you, there is a knowing. A knowing that what you seek is not outside of you, but within. Your consciousness, that infinite creative power, has brought you to this moment because you are ready to step into a new dimension of understanding. While others sleep in the dream of externalization, you are being awakened to the truth that all power lies within your own wonderful human imagination. Many will read these words and dismiss them, returning to their sleep of mortality. But you who have been chosen by your own higher self to receive this message, will recognize the ring of truth in these words. You will feel the stirring of remembrance in your soul. The very fact that these words resonate with something deep within you is proof that you are among the few who are ready to awaken from the dream of limitation. While others continue to worship at the altar of external power, you are being called to recognize the God within. Now let us delve deeper into why this particular moment holds such significance. You see, in the infinite sea of possibilities, your consciousness has drawn you to these words because you are ready to understand the magnitude of what I am about to share. This message is not meant for the masses, not because they are excluded, but because they are not yet ready to comprehend the profound simplicity of what I am sharing. They are still asleep in the dream of external causation, still believing that their reality is something happening to them rather than from them. Consider this, out of all the moments in time, out of all the possible messages you could be receiving, your consciousness has orchestrated this precise encounter. This is not chance. This is divine law expressing itself through the perfect pattern of your awakening consciousness. I tell you with absolute certainty, the very fact that you find yourself drawn to these words is evidence of your spiritual readiness. While others chase shadows in the external world, you have been prepared to receive the truth that all creation begins within. Now let me share something that few will understand, but you will recognize as truth. Your presence here, reading these words, is not separate from your desire to understand the deeper mysteries of existence. Your desire and its fulfillment are one, happening in the eternal now. Most people will continue to believe that their desires are separate from their fulfillment, that there must be a gap in time between wanting and receiving. But you who have been drawn to this message are ready to understand that desire and fulfillment are one, separated only by our consciousness of lack. You see, while others spend their lives waiting for something to happen to them, you are being awakened to the truth that everything happens from you. Your consciousness is the only reality, and everything you experience is simply your consciousness pushed out into the world of shadows we call physical reality. The fact that you continue to resonate with these words is proof that you are among the chosen few who are ready to step into their divine inheritance, not chosen by any external force, but chosen by your own expanded consciousness, your own readiness to receive this truth. Now let me reveal to you why this message finds only those who are prepared to receive it. In all of creation, there exists a perfect law that brings the seeker to the truth precisely when they are ready to embrace it. Not a moment before, not a moment after. You see, while millions chase after material success and external validation, you have been drawn to these words because something within you, that divine spark of awareness, recognizes a deeper truth. Your consciousness has expanded to the point where you can receive what I am about to share. Consider this profound truth. In this very moment, countless individuals are seeking answers. Yet only a precious few will encounter this message. This is not because the truth is hidden, but because consciousness must be prepared to receive it. Just as a seed must be ready before it can sprout, consciousness must be ripened before it can embrace higher truth. I tell you with absolute certainty, your presence here is no accident. In the infinite wisdom of divine law, you have been brought to this exact moment because you are ready to step into a new dimension of understanding. While others remain caught in the web of external causes, you are being awakened to the truth that all causes lie within. Now let us understand something that few will ever grasp, but that you will recognize as truth. The very fact that you are receiving this message is evidence that within you exists a state of consciousness that is ready to transcend the limitations of conventional thinking. You are ready to step into the awareness that your imagination is God in action within you. Most will continue to seek their good in the world of effects, never realizing that all effects spring from the one cause, consciousness. But you who have been drawn to these words are ready to understand that consciousness is the only reality, and all else is merely its shadow. You see, while the masses continue to pray to a God outside themselves, you are being awakened to the truth that the kingdom of heaven is within you. Your consciousness is that kingdom, and your imagination is the God power operating within it. Now let me share with you something that very few will ever understand, yet you will recognize its truth in the depths of your being. The fact that you continue reading these words is testament to a spiritual readiness that has been cultivated through countless states of consciousness. You see, while the masses remain hypnotized by the shadow world of effects, believing that what they see is what creates their reality, you have been prepared to receive the reverse of this truth. Everything you see, everything you experience is preceded by a state of consciousness that you have occupied. Consider this. At this very moment, billions of people are engaging with countless different messages, yet you are here, your attention fixed on these words. This is not chance, not coincidence, but the perfect operation of divine law. Your consciousness has drawn you to exactly what it needs for its next level of unfoldment. I tell you with complete conviction, the very fact that these words resonate within you is proof that you have reached a level of spiritual maturity that few attain in a single lifetime. While others chase after effects, you are being guided to understand the one and only cause, consciousness itself. Now, let us delve deeper into why this message finds so few ready recipients. You see, human mind is conditioned to seek complexity. To believe that spiritual truth be difficult to attain must require years of study and practice. But I tell you this, the deepest truths are so simple that most will miss them entirely. Most will continue to believe that their good must come from something or someone external to themselves. They will continue to worship at the altar of circumstances, never realizing that circumstances are merely the shadow cast by their own state of consciousness. But you who have been drawn to this message, are ready to step into a new understanding. You see, while others spend their lives trying to change effects, you are being awakened to the truth that only cause can be changed, and that cause is your own wonderful human imagination. Your consciousness is the only reality, and all phenomena are simply consciousness expressed. Now, let me reveal to you something so profound, yet so simple, that most minds will reject it outright. The very moment you are experiencing now, reading these words, was created by a state of consciousness you occupied before you even knew of this message's existence. You see, while the world speaks of coincidence and chance, you are being awakened to understand that every moment is orchestrated by the law of consciousness with mathematical precision. There are no accidents in a universe governed by law, and your presence here is evidence of this truth. Consider this eternal principle: consciousness is the only reality, and everything else is an effect of consciousness. The fact that so few will receive this message is not because it is hidden, but because consciousness must first be prepared to receive it. Like a radio must be tuned to the right frequency, consciousness must be tuned to the frequency of truth. I tell you with absolute authority, your ability to understand and accept what I am sharing comes not from intellectual capacity, but from spiritual readiness. While millions remain caught in the hypnosis of materialism, you have been prepared through countless experiences to receive this revelation. Now let us understand why this message appears to so few. In the infinite wisdom of divine law, truth reveals itself only to those who have developed the consciousness to receive it. This is not exclusivity. This is the perfect operation of spiritual law. Most will continue to believe that life is happening to them, that they are victims of circumstances, never realizing that circumstances are merely consciousness objectified. But you who resonate with these words, are ready to step into the awareness that you are the operant power in your world. You see, while others pray to a God they believe exists somewhere outside themselves, you are being to the truth that God is your own wonderful human imagination. This is why so few will receive this message, because they are not yet ready to accept their own divinity. The very fact that you continue to read these words, that they strike a chord of recognition within you, is evidence that you have evolved beyond the mass consciousness of victimhood. You are ready to assume your rightful place as a conscious creator of your reality. Now, let me share with you a truth so fundamental yet so revolutionary that it will completely transform your understanding of reality. The very act of your consciousness engaging with these words is creating ripples in the fabric of your existence that will manifest in ways you cannot yet imagine. You see, while the vast majority of humanity believes that their future is determined by their past, you are being awakened to the glorious truth that your future is determined by your present state of consciousness. This is why so few will receive this message, because they are still bound by the chains of past-based thinking. Consider the profound implications of what I am telling you. In this very moment, as you absorb these words, you are literally selecting from infinite possibilities the exact experiences that will manifest in your world. Your consciousness is not just receiving information, it is creating reality. I tell you with unwavering certainty, the fact that you are drawn to this deeper understanding is evidence that you have outgrown the limited consciousness of the masses. While others remain trapped in the belief of external causation, you are ready to assume your role as the cause of all causes in your world. Now let us delve deeper into why this message reaches so few. The natural man, living in the world of effects, cannot comprehend that everything in their experience is simply consciousness externalized. They seek causes in the outer world, never realizing that the outer world is simply consciousness made visible. Most will continue to believe that their consciousness is an effect of their circumstances, never grasping the eternal truth that their circumstances are an effect of their consciousness. But you who have been drawn to these words by the law of divine selection, are ready to reverse this understanding. You see, while the masses chase after effects, trying to change their world by manipulating external conditions, you are being awakened to the truth that only consciousness can be changed. And when consciousness changes, all else must change with it. This is the law. The very fact that these words continue to resonate within you is proof that you have evolved beyond the mass hypnosis of materialism. You are ready to step into the awareness that your consciousness is the one and only reality. Now, let me reveal to you why this moment carries such profound significance in your spiritual evolution. While millions sleepwalk through their existence, accepting the illusion of external causation, you have been drawn to this message by the law of divine timing that governs all manifestation. You see, consciousness operates with perfect precision, bringing to each soul exactly what it needs at the precise moment it is ready to receive it. The very fact that you are engaging with these words now is evidence that your consciousness has expanded to the point where it can grasp these deeper truths. Consider what this means. Out of all the infinite possibilities that exist in any given moment, your consciousness has drawn you to this exact message. This is not chance, not coincidence, but the perfect operation of spiritual law. While others remain caught in the web of random events, you are awakening to the truth that nothing is random. I tell you with absolute conviction, your presence here, your ability to comprehend and resonate with these words is proof that you have reached a level of spiritual maturity that few attain. While the masses continue to seek their good in the world of effects, you are ready to operate from the world of cause. Now let us understand something that the rational mind might reject, but your soul will recognize as truth.
The very consciousness that drew you to this message is the same consciousness that creates and sustains the entire universe.
There is no separation, no division, all is one consciousness diversely expressed. Most will continue to believe that they must wait for something external to change their lives, never realizing that the waiting itself is the very state that perpetuates their current conditions. But you who have been drawn to these words by divine law, are ready to step into the awareness that waiting is unnecessary because everything exists now in consciousness. You see, while others spend their lives trying to make things happen, you are being awakened to the truth that nothing needs to happen. Everything already is in consciousness, and your task is simply to occupy the state of consciousness that corresponds to your desire. You see, while the masses remain focused on the world of shadows, what they can see, touch, and measure, you are being awakened to the truth that all tangible reality is merely consciousness crystallized into form. This is why so few will receive this message, because they are not yet ready to accept that consciousness precedes all manifestation. Consider this eternal truth in this very moment. As these words penetrate your consciousness, you are literally rearranging the entire universe. Not the universe of effects that appears so solid and real, but the true universe of consciousness from which all effects spring forth. I tell you with complete authority, your presence here, your continued resonance with these words, is not a matter of choice as the world understands choice. It is the perfect unfoldment of a state of consciousness you entered when you were ready to receive higher truth. Now let us delve deeper into why this message finds so few ready recipients. The natural mind, conditioned by centuries of materialistic thinking, cannot grasp that everything in the visible world is simply consciousness pushed out. They seek causes in effects, never realizing that all effects proceed from the one cause, consciousness itself. Most will continue to believe that their thoughts and feelings are a reaction to their world, never grasping the eternal truth that their world is a reaction to their thoughts and feelings. But you who have been drawn to this message by divine law, are ready to assume your place as the conscious operator of this law. You see, while others remain trapped in the belief that time is a linear progression from past to future, you are being awakened to the truth that all time exists simultaneously in consciousness. The past you remember and the future you anticipate are both present now in your consciousness. Now, as we draw this divine revelation to its completion, understand this final truth, that even this ending is but a new beginning in consciousness. The very fact that you have remained attentive through these revelations is testament to your spiritual readiness. You see, while others may have found these words too abstract, too removed from what they consider practical reality. You have recognized the ultimate practicality of operating from the one and only cause, consciousness itself. This understanding sets you apart from the masses who continue to live in effect. Remember this: the message you have received today will continue to unfold within your consciousness, revealing deeper and deeper layers of truth as you are ready to receive them. For truth, like consciousness itself, is infinite in its expression. I tell you this with finality: you were not drawn to this message to simply hear words, but to experience an awakening of the God power within you. From this moment forward, you will never again see the world through the eyes of the natural man, for you have been initiated into the mysteries of consciousness. Know this: as you read this message, you are not the same being who began reading it. Your consciousness has been altered, expanded, lifted to a new level of understanding. While others may forget what they read moments after reading it, these truths will continue to work in your consciousness, transforming your entire world. For you are among the few who have been prepared to receive this wisdom, to understand that your consciousness is the only reality, and that all else is simply consciousness made visible. This is not the end of your journey, but rather the true beginning of your conscious creation. Go forth now, knowing that you have been chosen by your own expanded consciousness to receive these truths. Let them work in you, through you, as you are not separate from these principles. You are these principles in operation. And remember, this message found you because you were ready to receive it. Your consciousness drew it to you with the same precision that governs the movement of planets and the blooming of flowers. You are that power, that law, that consciousness made manifest. For those who have ears to hear, let them hear. For those who have eyes to see, let them see. And for you who have been prepared to receive this truth, let this understanding transform every aspect of your being. For consciousness is all there is, and you are that consciousness individualized. And now, in the eternal now where all creation takes place, we conclude this message, knowing that in consciousness there is no conclusion, only eternal unfoldment of that which already is. Let me tell you about the law that governs all creation. Consciousness is the only reality. Everything you see in your world, everything you experience, is nothing more than your consciousness pushed out. Your physical reality is merely a shadow, a reflection of your inner state of being. Now imagine for a moment that your mind is like a garden. Every thought you think, every assumption you hold, every feeling you nurture is a seed planted in this garden. And just as surely as a seed grows into its corresponding plant, your thoughts and feelings grow into your experiences. You see, most people are walking around believing that their thoughts are simply reactions to their reality. But here's the profound truth: your thoughts are not reactions to your world. They are the very cause of your world. Your consciousness is not a passive observer. It is the active creator. Let me share with you what I call the law of assumption. This law states that if you assume you are what you want to be and continue in that assumption, it must become your reality. It's not hoping, it's not wishing, it's not even believing, it's knowing. It's assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Here's what separates those who manifest their desires from those who don't. Those who succeed live from the end. They don't wait for circumstances to change to feel what they want to feel. They feel it first, knowing that the feeling precedes the manifestation. You know what's fascinating about your imagination? It's not a fantasy factory creating idle daydreams. Your imagination is the very workshop in which all reality is fashioned. But most people use their imagination to rehearse their fears instead of rehearsing their desires. Let me tell you about the power of your inner conversations. Every moment of every day, you're having conversations in your mind. These conversations are not mere mental chatter. They are the blueprint of your future experiences. But most people let their inner conversations be dictated by their current circumstances, rather than their desired reality. Now, some of you might be thinking, but how can my consciousness create reality? Let me share with you this eternal truth. Consciousness is the only reality. Everything else, every person, every circumstance, every event, is simply consciousness manifested. Let me share with you the profound truth about states of consciousness. You see, every moment of your life, You're occupying a state. Every state you occupy must bear its fruit in your physical world. But most people occupy states unconsciously, never realizing they can choose their state at will. Your entire world is nothing more than your consciousness projected outward. When you understand this, you'll realize that to change your world, you need only change your consciousness. But here's the secret that few understand. You must persist in the new state until it feels natural. Now let me tell you about what I call living in the end. When you truly desire something, you must assume the feeling of already having it. You must sleep in the assumption that your desire is already a fact. Your physical senses may deny it, but you must remain faithful to your assumption. You see, most people make the mistake of trying to change things on the outside first. But here's the profound truth: the outside is dead. It has no life of its own. All life, all animation, all power flows from within. Your consciousness is the only living reality. Let me share with you the power of revision. Every night before you sleep, you have the power to revise your day. You can take any event that did go as you desired and in your imagination replay exactly as you wish it had gone. This is not mere fantasy. This is actually changing the past in your consciousness, which must then change your future. Here's what most people don't understand about manifestation. It's not about forcing changes in the external world. It's about changing your conception of yourself. When you change your self-concept, the world must reshape itself to match your new assumption. You know what's fascinating about your desires? They are God's way of telling you what you can have. The mere fact that you can desire something means it's possible in your world. But you must claim it in consciousness first. Let me tell you about the law of identical harvest. Whatever you plant in consciousness will grow into your reality. If you plant doubt, you harvest uncertainty. If you plant the assumption of success, you must harvest success. It's a law as exact as mathematics. Now, some of you might be wondering about time. How long would it take? But time is an illusion of the physical world. In consciousness, the thing is done the moment you assume it is done. The time it takes to appear in your physical world is determined by your conviction in its reality. You see, there's a secret about your brain that most people never discover. It cannot tell the difference between what you're vividly imagining and what you're actually experiencing. When you imagine with feeling, you're literally rewiring your brain to accept your desire as reality. Let me share with you the power of feeling. Feeling is the secret. It's not enough to just visualize or affirm. You must feel the reality of desire now. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the gratitude of having what you desire. Feel it so deeply that your whole being vibrates with the certainty of it. Here's what's profound about your imagination. It's not creating something new. It's selecting and bringing forth something that already exists in infinite possibility. But you must learn to use your imagination consciously, purposefully. Let me reveal to you the profound secret about your own magnificent mind. Your brain, you see, is not merely recording reality, it is creating reality. Every single thought you entertain, every feeling you embrace is literally reshaping the neural pathways in your brain. But most people never realize they are the sculptors of their own brain structure. Now understand this fundamental truth. When you fall asleep at night, your subconscious mind accepts as true the last impressions you held in consciousness. This is why I tell you never to sleep feeling worried or fearful. Instead, fall asleep in the absolute assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. You see, there's something miraculous about the state akin to sleep, the state between waking and sleeping. In this drowsy state, your conscious mind's resistance is lowered, and your subconscious becomes incredibly receptive to new impressions. This is the perfect state for impressing your desires upon your subconscious mind. Let me share with you what I call mental diet. Just as you carefully choose what you feed your physical body, you must be even more selective about what you feed your mind. Every mental conversation, every inner assumption is food for your consciousness. But most people mentally feast on the very things they wish to eliminate from their lives. Here's something profound about your imagination. It speaks in the language of feeling. When you imagine something, feel it as though it were happening now. Feel the texture, the weight, the temperature. Feel the emotional satisfaction of having your desire fulfilled. Your brain responds to this feeling as though it were actually happening. You know what's fascinating about consciousness? It operates at multiple levels simultaneously. Your conscious mind might doubt, but if you can get your subconscious to accept an idea, it must become your reality. This is why feeling is so crucial. Feeling bypasses the conscious mind's doubts. Let me tell you about the power of your self-talk. Every time you say I am, you're making a claim on existence. You're literally programming your subconscious mind. But most people habitually make negative I am statements, never realizing they're creating those very conditions they wish to avoid. Now, some might ask, but what about external circumstances? Remember this eternal truth: circumstances don't matter. Only state of consciousness matters. When you change your state of consciousness, circumstances must change to match your new state. You see, there's something remarkable about your brain's reticular activating system. Once you impress upon it what you want, it begins to notice opportunities and possibilities that were always there but previously invisible to you. But you must first impress it with the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Let me share with you the power of persistent assumption. When you assume something is true and persist in that assumption despite all evidence to the contrary, your brain begins to create neural pathways that support that assumption. This is literally rewiring your brain for success. Here's what's profound about your mental conversations. They are literally instructions to your subconscious mind. Every time you imagine a conversation, you're programming your brain. Well, most people mentally rehearse conversations of failure and limitation instead of success and abundance. Let me share with you something profound about the nature of your consciousness. Your entire world, every experience, every relationship, every circumstance is simply your consciousness pushed out into manifestation. When you truly grasp this, you'll understand why changing your consciousness is the only way to permanently change anything in your world. Now understand this. Your brain is infinitely malleable. Scientists call this neuroplasticity, but I tell you it is the physical expression of a spiritual law. Every time you assume a new state of consciousness, you are literally creating new neural pathways. Your brain physically restructures itself to match your dominant mental state. You see, most people wait for something to happen before they change their mental state. But here's the profound truth. This is the exact opposite of how the law works. You must first occupy the state of consciousness that corresponds to your desire. Your physical reality has no choice but to reshape itself to match your inner state. Let me tell you about what I call living from the end. When you thoroughly understand this, you'll never again worry about the how of manifestation. You see, the end is where we begin. Occupy the state of consciousness of already having what you desire. Feel it as real now. Your brain will then orchestrate the means. Here's something fascinating about your subconscious mind. It accepts as true whatever you feel to be true. It doesn't distinguish between what you're vividly imagining and what you're actually experiencing. This is why feeling is the secret. Feel the reality of your desire now, and your subconscious must find ways to bring it into physical expression. You know what's remarkable about your mental conversations? They are the thread from which the fabric of your reality is woven. Every internal dialogue, every imagined conversation is creating neural patterns in your brain. But most people allow their mental conversations to be dominated by doubt, worry, and limitation. Let me share with you the power of revision. When you revise an event in your imagination, you're not merely creating a pleasant fantasy. You are literally rewiring your brain's interpretation of that event. The revised version becomes your new reality, because consciousness is the only reality. Now, some might say, but what about facts? Remember this, facts are only the fruit of past assumptions. Change your assumptions, and you change the facts. Your brain is constantly filtering reality based on your assumptions. Change your assumptions, and you change what your brain perceives as fact. You see, there's something profound about your attention. Whatever you place your attention on grows in your consciousness. This is why I tell you to withdraw your attention from unwanted conditions. Give all your attention to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Let me tell you about the law of identical harvest. Your brain will always manifest what you plant in consciousness. If you plant the seed of assumption that you are wealthy, successful, loved, while feeling the reality of it, your brain must find ways to manifest these conditions. Let me reveal to you something extraordinary about the power of your persistent imagination. Your imagination, sustained with feeling, is the very substance from which your future is molded. When you persist in imagining and feeling your desires already fulfilled, you are literally programming your brain to manifest that reality. Now, understand this crucial truth: your brain doesn't know the difference between what you're vividly imagining and what you're physically experiencing. When you imagine with feeling, you create the same neural patterns that would be created if you were actually experiencing your desire. This is why imagination is the real and external world the shadow. You see, most people use their imagination unconsciously, letting it run wild with fears and worries. But here's the profound truth. Your imagination is God's gift to you. It is the creative power through which you can consciously design your life. Every time you imagine something vividly, you're literally rewiring your brain's circuitry. Let me share with you what I call the sleeping technique. As you lay in bed at night, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel the naturalness of having what you desire. Your subconscious mind is most receptive in these drowsy moments, and whatever you impress upon it then must manifest in your world. Here's something remarkable about your consciousness. It operates on multiple frequencies simultaneously. Your conscious mind might doubt, but if you can impress your desire upon your subconscious through feeling, doubt becomes irrelevant. Your subconscious will work tirelessly to manifest what you've impressed upon it. You know what's fascinating about your brain's reticular activating system? Once you program it through conscious imagination and feeling, it begins to notice opportunities and possibilities that were always there but previously invisible to you. But you must first impress it with the feeling of the end result. Let me tell you about the power of your self-concept. Every thought you think about yourself, every assumption you hold about who you are, is literally shaping your brain's neural pathways. But most people never realize they can consciously choose and revise their self-concept. Now, some might ask about time. Remember this: in consciousness, there is no time. The moment you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the seed is planted. Your brain begins its magnificent work of bringing your assumption into physical reality. You see, there's something profound about feeling. Feeling is the secret. When you generate the feeling of having what you desire, you activate the same neural networks that would be activated if you actually had it. Your brain then begins to create the circumstances that match this neural pattern. Let me reveal to you a profound secret about the architecture of your mind. Your consciousness is not confined to your physical brain. It is infinite, boundless, and all-powerful. Yet your brain is the magnificent instrument through which this infinite consciousness expresses itself in your physical experience. Now, understand this fundamental principle. Every thought you think, every feeling you entertain is creating pathways in your brain. These neural pathways become the channels through which your future experiences must flow. But most people create these pathways unconsciously, never realizing they can consciously design them. You see, when you truly understand that your brain is infinitely malleable, you'll realize that no state is permanent, unlike it's so through your persistent assumption. Your current circumstances, no matter how seemingly fixed, are only the reflection of past patterns of thought. Change the pattern, and you change the reflection. Let me share with you what I call the divine moment. This moment right now is the only time when you can impress new patterns upon your brain. The past exists only in memory, the future only in imagination. But in this divine moment, you have the power to rewrite your entire life story. Here's something extraordinary about your subconscious mind. It cannot distinguish between what you're vividly imagining and what you're physically experiencing. When you imagine with feeling, you create the same neural patterns that would be created by the actual experience. This is why imagination is the very substance of creation. You know what's fascinating about consciousness? It operates on the principle of assumption. Whatever you assume to be true, your brain will work tirelessly to prove right. But most people make their assumptions based on past experience rather than desired experience. Let me tell you about the power of your inner conversations. Every word you speak in your mind is literally programming your brain. These mental conversations are not mere idle chatter, they are the blueprints from which your brain constructs your future experiences. Now, some might wonder about persistent negative thoughts. Remember this, a thought only has power over you if you give it the power of your attention and feeling. You can choose in any moment to withdraw your attention from unwanted thoughts and place it fully on the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You see, there's something profound about the law of identical harvest. Whatever you plant in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind through feeling and persistent assumption must grow into your physical reality. But you must water it with attention and nurture it with conviction. Let me share with you the power of revision. When you revise an event in your imagination, feeling it as you wish it had happened, you're not merely creating a pleasant fantasy. You are literally rewiring your brain's interpretation of that event, which must then change your future. Let me reveal to you the deepest truth about consciousness and creation. Your entire universe exists within your own consciousness. Everything you perceive, everything you experience, is simply consciousness expressing itself in form. When you truly grasp this, you'll understand why changing your consciousness is the master key to changing your entire world. Now, understand this vital principle. Your brain is not merely recording reality, it is creating reality based on your dominant mental states. Every assumption you hold, every feeling you nurture, every state you occupy is literally reshaping your neural architecture. But most people never realize they are the architects of their own brain structure. You see, there's something profound about what I call the law of reversed effort. The harder you try to make something happen through physical effort alone, the more you reinforce the consciousness of lack. Instead, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and your brain will naturally orchestrate its manifestation. Let me share with you what I call the Sabbath. This is the state where you completely rest in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. When you enter this state, you cease all effort, because in consciousness, the thing is already done. Your brain then works effortlessly to bring it into manifestation. Here's something remarkable about your attention. Whatever you place your attention on grows in your consciousness. This is not metaphysical speculation. This is literal brain function. Your attention strengthens neural pathways. But most people habitually focus their attention on what they don't want instead of what they do want. You know what's fascinating about your subconscious mind? It takes everything personally. When you say they are, he is yours, your subconscious interprets it as I am. This is why you must be extremely careful about how you think and speak about others. You are literally programming your own subconscious. Let me tell you about the power of your nightly review. The moments before sleep are crucial because your subconscious is most receptive then. Whatever you impress upon your mind as you drift off to sleep will work all night long to reshape your brain's neural patterns. Now, some might ask about persistence. Remember this, persistence is not about forcing or struggling. It's about maintaining the feeling of your wish fulfilled regardless of appearances. Your physical senses may deny it, but you must remain faithful to your assumption. Now understand this fundamental truth about your brain's function. It's constantly seeking evidence to support your dominant beliefs and assumptions. This is not just psychology. This is the very mechanism through which consciousness creates reality. Your brain will literally filter reality to match your assumptions. You see, there's something extraordinary about what I call controlled imagination. When you consciously direct your imagination with feeling, you're not just daydreaming. You're actually programming your brain's neural networks. These networks then become the channels through which your future must flow. Let me tell you about the power of your first-person perspective. When you imagine from the first-person view, feeling and experiencing your desire is already fulfilled, you create far more powerful neural patterns than if you merely observe from the outside. Your brain responds as though it's happening now. Here's something fascinating about your consciousness. It operates in states. Each state has its own complete set of memories, beliefs, and expectations. When you enter a new state, you literally access a new set of neural pathways. But most people remain stuck in unwanted states, never realizing they can choose a new state at will. You know what's remarkable about your self-talk? Every I am statement you make is literally an instruction to your subconscious mind. Your brain doesn't question these statements, it simply works to make them true. But most people unconsciously make limiting I am statements all day long. Let me share with you the power of feeling. Feeling is the secret because feeling creates the neural patterns that attract corresponding experiences. When you generate the feeling of having what you desire, you're not just creating a pleasant emotion. You're literally rewiring your brain for success. Now, some might wonder about the role of action. Remember this, action does not create, it only expresses. True creation happens in consciousness first. When you occupy the state of having your desire fulfilled, appropriate action flows naturally and effortlessly. You see, there's something profound about what I call mental diet. Just as your physical body is built from the food you eat, your experience is built from the mental food you consume. Every thought, every assumption, every inner conversation is either nourishing or poisoning your future. Let me tell you about the law of reversibility. Just as physical action produces feeling, feeling can produce physical action. By deliberately assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you set in motion the physical actions that will bring it into manifestation. I will share with you 13 profound truths about living a happy life. These are not mere suggestions, but spiritual laws that, when understood and applied, transform your entire existence. Let me share with you the first truth, what I call the law of conscious creation. Your happiness is not something that happens to you, but something that happens from you. It is a state of consciousness that you must deliberately choose and maintain. In the Bible it states, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. This is not mere poetry, this is a precise description of consciousness creates reality, including the reality of happiness. Consider the second truth, what I call the state of gratitude. When you exist in a state of perpetual thankfulness, you align yourself with the very frequency of happiness. Gratitude is not a response to happiness, it is the cause of happiness. This is what the scripture means when it says, in everything give thanks. Your gratitude is not conditional on circumstances. It is the power that transforms circumstances. The third truth I share with you is what I call the law of present awareness. True happiness exists only in the now. When you learn to anchor your consciousness in the present moment, you tap into an unlimited source of joy. You see, most people make this fundamental error. They postpone their happiness, waiting for some future event or achievement. But I tell you this, happiness is only ever experienced in the present moment. The fourth truth is what I call the state of self-acceptance. You must learn to fully accept yourself as you are now, while simultaneously holding the vision of what you wish to become. This is what the Bible means when it says, I am that I am. This is not about complacency, but about acknowledging your current state while knowing you can transform it through consciousness. The fifth truth I share with you is what I call the law of divine purpose. When you align yourself with your higher purpose, happiness becomes not just a feeling, but a natural state of being. This is what the scripture means when it says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Your purpose is your pathway to perpetual joy. The sixth truth is what I call the state of conscious relationship. Your relationships must be chosen consciously, maintained consciously, and then valued consciously. Each relationship is a mirror reflecting your state of consciousness. Consider this deeply. What you see in others is always a reflection of what exists in your own consciousness. Change your consciousness, and your relationships transform automatically. The seventh truth I share with you is what I call the law of spiritual abundance. True happiness comes from understanding that you are connected to an infinite source of all good things. Let me share with you the eighth truth, what I call the state of divine detachment. True happiness comes when you learn to remain unattached to outcomes while maintaining absolute faith in the perfect unfolding of your life. In the Bible it states, be anxious for nothing. This is not mere advice, it is a spiritual command that, when followed, opens the door to perpetual happiness. The ninth truth I share with you is what I call the law of conscious forgiveness. You must learn to forgive not just others, but yourself. Forgiveness is not an act, it is a state of consciousness that tapered to you from the past. This is what the scripture means when it says, forgive 70 times 7. It's not about counting acts of forgiveness, but about maintaining a constant state of forgiveness. Consider the 10th truth, what I call the state of eternal joy. Joy is your natural state. It's not something you need to pursue or achieve. It's something you need to remember and allow. You see, most people make this crucial error. They think happiness is something to be pursued. But I tell you this, happiness is your natural state when you remove the barriers you've placed before it. The 11th truth I share with you is what I call the law of spiritual alignment. When your thoughts, feelings, and actions align with your highest truth, happiness flows naturally and abundantly. This is what the Bible means when it says, "Let your light so shine before men." Your alignment with your highest self creates a natural radiance that is happiness itself. The 12th truth is what I call the state of conscious creation. Every moment you are creating your experience through your consciousness. Your happiness is not determined by what happens to you, but by how you choose to see what happens. Think about this deeply. Your perception creates your reality. Change your perception, and you change your entire experience of life. The 13th truth I share with you is what I call the law of divine love. Love is not an emotion. It is a state of being. When you exist in this state, happiness becomes your natural expression. This is what the scripture means when it says God is love. When you align yourself with this truth, you align yourself with the very source of happiness. Consider this profound understanding. Happiness is not a destination. It is a way of traveling. It's not something you achieve. It's something you express. You see, while others seek happiness in external circumstances, the truly wise understand that happiness is an internal state that colors all external circumstances. Let me share with you what I call the state of conscious choice. Every moment presents you with the opportunity to choose happiness, regardless of external conditions. Let me expand upon these 13 truths that lead to perpetual happiness. Consider what I call the law of conscious application. It's not enough to know these truths. You must live them, breathe them, become them. In the Bible, it states, "Be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only." This is a precise instruction about the importance of applying these spiritual laws in your daily life. Let us delve deeper into the first truth about conscious creation. You see, every moment of your life is a moment of creation. Your consciousness is constantly creating your experience of reality. This is what the scripture means when it says, "Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus." You must maintain the consciousness of happiness to experience its manifestation. Consider more deeply the second truth about gratitude. When you exist in a state of perpetual thankfulness, you align yourself with the very frequency of abundance and joy. You see, most people make this fundamental error. They wait to feel grateful until after good things happen. But I tell you this, gratitude is the power that attracts good things into your life. Let us examine further the third truth about present awareness. The now is the only moment where happiness can be experienced. The past is memory, the future is imagination, but life happens now. This is what the Bible means when it says, "Take therefore no thought for the morrow." Your power to experience happiness exists only in the present moment. Consider the profound implications of the fourth truth about self-acceptance. When you fully accept yourself, you release the resistance that blocks your natural state of happiness. Think about this deeply. Self-acceptance is not complacency. It is the foundation from which all positive change emerges. Let us explore further the fifth truth about divine purpose. When you align with your purpose, you tap into a source of joy that transcends circumstantial happiness. This is what the scripture means when it says, "Eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man, the things which God hath prepared for them that love him." Consider more deeply the sixth truth about conscious relationships. Every relationship in your life is a mirror reflecting your own consciousness back to you. You see, while others blame their relationships for their unhappiness, the wise understand that relationships simply reflect their inner state. Let us examine the seventh truth about spiritual abundance more thoroughly. When you understand that you are connected to an infinite source, lack consciousness disappears. Let us delve deeper into the eighth truth about divine detachment. When you release your grip on specific outcomes, you open yourself to possibilities far greater than your limited mind can imagine. In the Bible it states, "Cast thy burden upon the Lord." This is not about abandoning responsibility, but about releasing the anxiety that blocks your state of happiness. Consider more profoundly the ninth truth about conscious forgiveness. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It only hurts you and blocks your happiness. This is what the scripture means when it says, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." This state of forgiveness liberates you from the chains of resentment. Let us examine the 10th truth about eternal joy more thoroughly. Joy is your birthright, your natural state when you remove all artificial barriers to its expression. You see, most people make this crucial error. They think joy must be earned, deserved. But I tell you this, joy is your natural state of being when you remove all resistance to it. Consider the 11th truth about spiritual alignment more deeply. When your thoughts, words, and actions align with your highest truth, happiness flows naturally and abundantly. This is what the Bible means when it says, "Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay." This perfect alignment creates a state of perpetual peace and joy. Let us explore the 12th truth about conscious creation further. Every moment you are either creating from your highest consciousness or reacting from your conditioned patterns. Think about this deeply. Your happiness is not determined by what happens to you, but by how you choose to create meaning from what happens. Consider the 13th truth about divine love more profoundly. Love is not something you do. It is something you are when you remove all barriers to its expression. This is what the scripture means when it says, "Perfect love casteth out fear." When you exist in this state of love, fear cannot exist, and happiness becomes your natural expression. Let me share with you what I call the state of perpetual growth. True happiness comes not from achieving goals, but from the constant expansion of your consciousness. You see, while others seek happiness in static achievements, the wise understand that happiness comes from continuous growth and expansion. Consider what I call the law of spiritual momentum. Each moment you maintain these truths in your consciousness, you build momentum toward greater expressions of happiness. Let me share with you what I call the state of integrated understanding. These 13 truths are not separate principles, but interconnected aspects of one unified truth about happiness. In the Bible it states, "All things work together for good." This is not mere consolation, but a profound truth about the interconnected nature of all spiritual laws. Consider how the first truth of conscious creation naturally flows into the second truth of gratitude. Your creation becomes more powerful when infused with genuine thankfulness. This is what the scripture means when it says, "In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God concerning you." Your gratitude amplifies your creative power. Let me share with you what I call the spiral of ascending consciousness. As you apply these truths, each one elevates your understanding of the others to new levels. You see, most people make this fundamental error. They try to apply these principles in isolation. But I tell you this, true power comes from their unified application. Consider how present awareness, our third truth, enhances your ability to practice self-acceptance, our fourth truth. Only in the present moment can true self-acceptance occur. This is what the Bible means when it says, "Now is the accepted time." Your power to transform your life exists only in the present moment. Let me share with you what I call the state of divine synthesis. When these 13 truths become integrated into your consciousness, they create a new level of understanding. Think about this deeply. Happiness is not the result of applying these principles. It is the natural expression of becoming these principles. Consider how divine purpose, our fifth truth, naturally enhances conscious relationships, our sixth truth. When you are aligned with your purpose, your relationships naturally elevate. This is what the scripture means when it says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you." Your alignment with purpose transforms all aspects of life. Let me share with you what I call the law of spiritual resonance. As you embody these truths, You naturally attract experiences and relationships that match your elevated consciousness. You see, while others struggle to make things happen, those who understand these truths allow their good to naturally unfold through elevated consciousness. Consider how spiritual abundance, our seventh truth, naturally flows into divine detachment, our eighth truth. When you truly understand abundance, attachment naturally dissolves. Let me share with you what I call the state of divine integration. When these truths become not just knowledge in your mind, but living wisdom in your consciousness, transformation becomes effortless. In the Bible it states, the letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. This means these truths must move beyond mere intellectual understanding into lived experience. Consider how forgiveness, our ninth truth, naturally enhances eternal joy, our 10th truth. When you release all resentment, joy flows unimpeded through your consciousness. This is what the scripture means when it says, joy cometh in the morning. After the night of forgiveness comes the dawn of perpetual joy. Let me share with you what I call the law of spiritual momentum. As you practice these truths, they begin to practice themselves through you with increasing power. You see, most people make this crucial error. They try to force these principles into action. But I tell you this, true power comes when you allow these principles to work through you. Consider how spiritual alignment, our 11th truth, naturally enhances conscious creation, our 12th truth. When you are aligned, the creation becomes effortless. This is what the Bible means when it says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Your transformed consciousness naturally creates transformed experiences. Let me share with you what I call the state of divine culmination. When these 13 truths become your natural state of being, happiness becomes your default experience. Think about this deeply. Happiness is not something you achieve. It is something you allow by removing all resistance to its expression. Consider how divine love, our 13th truth, naturally enhances and elevates all other truths. Love is the master key that unlocks the full power of every principle. This is what the scripture means when it says, love is the fulfilling of the law. When you exist in the state of love, all other spiritual laws naturally align. Let me share with you what I call the law of spiritual acceleration. As these truths become integrated into your being, their power in your life accelerates exponentially. You see, while others seek happiness through external means, those who understand these truths find happiness naturally expressing through their elevated consciousness. Consider what I call the state of perpetual unfoldment. Each truth contains within it infinite depths of understanding that continue to reveal themselves as you evolve. Let me share with you what I call the final integration of these 13 truths. Each one builds upon the others, creating a complete foundation for perpetual happiness. In the Bible, it states, I have come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. This abundance includes the unlimited potential for happiness. Consider this synthesis. Conscious creation leads to gratitude, which enhances present awareness, which facilitates self-acceptance, which aligns you with divine purpose, which elevates relationships, which reveals spiritual abundance. This is what the scripture means when it says line upon line, precept upon precept. Each truth builds upon the previous, creating a complete spiritual structure. Let me share with you what I call the state of complete realization. When these truths become your natural state, happiness is no longer something you seek, but something you are. You see, most people make this final error. They think there's always more to learn before they can be happy. But I tell you this, these 13 truths contain everything needed for complete fulfillment. Remember this, divine detachment leads to true forgiveness, which reveals eternal joy, which enables spiritual alignment, which empowers conscious creation, which culminates in divine love. This is what the Bible means when it says, be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. This perfection is the natural result of living these truths. Let me leave you with this final understanding. Happiness is not the goal of these teachings. It is the natural byproduct of living them. When you embody these 13 truths, happiness becomes as natural as breathing. Think about this deeply. You are not learning these truths to become happy. You are remembering them because you are happiness itself, expressing through human form. These 13 truths are not separate paths to happiness. They are different aspects of one truth, that happiness is your natural state when you remove all barriers to its expression. This is what the scripture means when it says, the kingdom of heaven is within you. All these truths lead to this one realization, that happiness is not something to achieve, but something to allow. Let me leave you with this final truth. You are not seeking happiness. You are happiness seeking expression through you. Let these 13 truths be your guide to allowing that expression. Remember, these principles are not meant to be practiced separately, but to be integrated into one seamless expression of your true nature. As you live these truths, you become them. And as you become them, happiness naturally flows. Go forth now, not to seek happiness, but to express the happiness that you already are. Let these 13 truths be your reminder of your true nature, your divine inheritance, your natural state of being. And so it is. Remember, these are not mere words or concepts. They are living truths waiting to be expressed through you. Your happiness is not dependent on circumstances, but on your consciousness of these eternal principles. This concludes our exploration of the 13 truths of happiness. Take them into your heart, let them become your natural state of being, and watch as your life transforms into a living expression of joy.